Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. According to a new study, says Jimmy Fallon, dogs are more effectively at detecting COVID than rapid tests. I'm glad we've reached a point in the pandemic where the CDC is like, I don't know, dogs? Knowing the CDC, in 2 days they're going to be like, never mind, it's actually rabbits, I'm sorry. Seriously, I have no idea what's going on. Today I saw Sarah McLachlan snuggling a person with COVID, asking pets to help. Here's how it works with dogs. If you have symptoms, they sniff your crotch. 1 hump means you're negative, 2 humps means you're positive. Now when you take an at-home test, the instructions look a little different. The steps are 1, open package, 2, remove at-home COVID test, 3, walk and feed at-home COVID test. Oh, great job, Jimmy Fallon and the Jimmy Fallon writers. GQ, under the headline, Adam Sandler will never stop dressing like Adam Sandler. Now, before I get into Adam Sandler's attire, let's take a look at me. Mickey Mouse t-shirt, gray sweatpants, beat-up sneakers. So I shouldn't talk. I'm not George Clooney here in the basement. GQ writes, it's tough to pinpoint when exactly Adam Sandler became a style icon. It's not his wardrobe has changed much over the last couple of years. It hasn't. Or only because at some point 2000's schlub became 2020's drip. It has. No, it's that through it all, the Sandman has never stopped dressing like himself. Sandler was spotted walking around the Jimmy Kimmel lot wearing a branded Hustle trucker cap and carrying a rumpled armful of clothing. At the Hustle premiere in Los Angeles, he wore a pair of neon orange Hokas. By the way, I have a nice pair of blue Hokas, so maybe Adam Sandler and I have a lot more in common than I thought. We both like Hokas. Loose fit pool blue trousers and a printed polo from a golf club in Hawaii. Uncut Gems costume designer Miyako Belize told GQ in 2019, Sandler's personal style is amazing. He wears basketball shorts and Jordans every day, no matter the weather. If he's not comfortable, then he's not going to wear it. The Office ladies, that's Pam and Angela from The Office. They have like real names and stuff. Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey being their real names. They have a new Office ladies book. Dave E. Club asked them, what do they feel about the show 10 years later? Jenna Fisher said, I haven't seen the episode since they aired, so doing the rewatch podcast has actually made me such a huge fan of the show. I'm now the person who knows all the quotes and all of Michael Scott's best lines. I'm getting to watch it as an audience member. Back when we would watch it together as a cast, I'd be thinking about it differently, like, oh, I wonder what they're going to use here, or, oh, look, Ed Helms, you got your improv in, just stuff like that. I now watch it in a totally different way. It's surreal to me that I'm in it and that Pam was me. Angela said, I'm such a big fan of the show, especially of the Jim and Pam relationship. I love tearing up with them and cheering them on. I love watching the scenes I wasn't part of, so maybe I wasn't there the day it was filmed. Jen and I both reach out to people about it too. Happy Hour is fresh on my mind because we just rewatched it, and Oscar Nunez, who played Oscar, is so good at it. I texted him to say he was crushing it. We get to celebrate our cast members' performance this way. The podcast now getting to the later seasons, which aren't as well loved. What are you guys looking forward to? Angela said, I'm very excited about Robert Lipton, a.k.a. the Senator. Jenna said, I'm very excited to see Will Ferrell's arc as D'Angelo Vickers in Season 7. I'm also very interested in watching Season 8. It's considered our clunkiest. Joel McHale spoke to LA Magazine. The huge incident with Will Smith was a gigantic moment that'll never be forgotten. People keep asking if it's harder to tell jokes, but I think if comedians don't push it, then what are we doing? We're just milk stops. We're the worst dad at every party. Joel's got a new show on E! Called Celebrity Beef. A cooking competition show will pit 2 celebrities against each other in a good old-fashioned cook-off. Joel McHale will serve as host and judge, deciding the winner each week. Joel says he himself is a good chef. I'm great. I'm a Michelin star chef at my house. I gave it out to myself, but it's a different scale at my house. I think even my wife would agree. Roy Wood Jr. told the Hollywood Reporter, I don't know who did it first, the comedian or the audience, but somewhere along the way, somebody decided comedians were the oracles of all of society's ills. Nah, we're wrong a lot too. This entire life is just everybody contributing ideas, but they're not all going to be the best ideas. So for me, I know that I have ideas and what I think can make the world a better place, but I also know I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm without mistakes or haven't done or said idiotic things. His most recent special, he said, we taped that special and aired it 13 days later. The normal turn time for comedy special pre-pandemic was anywhere from 5 months to a year. You'll shoot it and then you'll put together all the promo stuff, then you put together all the clips that you want to do. So that set was developed, let's say, from February through October. These days, you can't shoot a stand-up special and put it on the shelf for 6 months while you decide where it slots into your fall schedule. You have to put it up immediately. There's a lot of stuff Netflix is putting out this summer that was just shot last month in LA. Yeah, I know. I can't keep up. Killing me, Netflix. I chose to do 2 weeks because I'm at a disadvantage. I'll say that. I'll be honest. I released one of the few hour specials that's still coming on traditional broadcast cable and not a streamer. So I had to be cognizant of Comedy Central's full schedule online and what I'm up against. And that's a part that was a little more difficult. Variety spoke to Hannah Einbender. Hey, Hannah, it's Pride Month and you're an out and proud bisexual. Was there ever a moment where someone said to you, you know, maybe don't do that so publicly. You're going to start this career here. You might not want to do that. Hannah said, nope. I'm really lucky to live right now when that's not something that's happening to me personally. I think it probably happens. I think for sure people who are in super mainstream positions have the pressure to have mass appeal. I was lucky to start on a show where my character is queer and I'm working with artists and women and people who are embracing that. So I've been really lucky. I've also talked about it in my stand-up since the beginning. With stand-up, there's no censor. My managers are really awesome, two really nice guys. They've always been loving and encouraging, and I've had a really charmed and privileged experience. Was your character Ava on Hacks always queer, or was she queer because you were cast as Ava? Great question. She was always queer. It was in the character background, which I was relieved to see because it was the first bi woman I ever had an audition for. Were friends or family nervous for you when they heard you doing this stuff in your stand-up? Hannah said, I've had experiences at shows it's mostly men being disgusting, but that's created a thicker skin for me. I'm very sensitive, a delicate flower, and I'm still that way. But stand-up has given me coping tools to deal with the outside, to deal with my non-LA bubble when I go on the road. I go these places. But I also come from a really progressive, liberal, Jewish, queer family. I have 2 trans siblings. My grandmother was an out lesbian in the 60s. That's my world. Vulture asked a bunch of comedians, hey, comedians, is there a special that changed the way you think of specials and what they can do? Emily Heller said, Monique's I Could Have Been Your Cellmate. She shot it in a women's prison, spent about 20 minutes of it on documentary footage, interviewing some of the audience members about their experiences. It's rare for a special to tell you such a complete story, not just about who the comedian is, but who the audience is and why they're laughing. Kevin James Doyle picked Natalie Palamida's Nate. If you've never seen Nate, it is on Netflix. It is fantastic. Go watch that after this. Nate was a good reminder that the weirdest artsy show can succeed when filmed. When I saw it live, I had no idea if it would work as a special, and it did. And when I showed it to my parents, they asked how it could be considered art, and we debated Nate's artistic value for a few hours. That hasn't happened with any other Netflix special I ever showed anyone. Deanne Smith picked Gerard Carmichael's Rothaniel and said, I don't know for sure, but I imagine all the questions the audience asked were scripted and set up. There's no audience in the world that's on top of it actively listening and able to ask precise therapeutic questions to move the story forward. And yet the result didn't feel scripted at all. Joyelle Nicole Johnson picked Maria Bamford's The Special. Maria shot in her house with her parents as the audience. She's the most original we have working, and I look up to everything she's accomplished. Not to mention, performing an hour in front of my parents would be a living nightmare. I don't know how she did it. Kyle Kinane tagged on and said, Maria Bamford is an actual risk taker. The rest of us are frauds. Let's take a look at an open mic night in Seattle. This from the Seattle Times. Jack Slattery cracks a joke. Seattle's a weird city. We don't have to make bumper stickers about how weird we are. We just are. That apparently is a regional dig at Portland. Take that, Portland. Longtime Seattle comedian and event producer Rick Taylor says the function of an open mic is to get the comedians up on stage and give them a chance to work on their material. It's workout night. This is the comedy gym. There are rules. One of which is, remember, this is a monologue, not a dialogue, so no heckling. By the night's end, 32 comics have taken their turn at the mic for a 3-minute micro set. Jokes range from tried and true comedy, topics like therapists, pornography, veganism, to introspective and unexpected works such as the immigrant experience, genderqueer dating, and childhood fantasies about G.I. Joe. Some comics look at note cards, making impromptu decisions about which bits to try out. Not one comic talks about cancel culture, and nobody makes jokes about quarantining or life during the pandemic. Thank goodness on both. Located on Capitol Hill, Club Comedy Seattle seats 100 people, fills up quickly on open mic nights. Roughly half of the attendees are comics, which means the laughs don't come easy. Regulars say it's not unusual for comics to workshop the same jokes multiple times over the span of a few open mics. Club owner Rick Taylor says that's the craft element of this. It shows you're working at it. And that is your comedy news for today. You can follow this show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or wherever you get your shows. Become a premium subscriber and get episodes ad-free and early releases, usually the afternoon before. You can do that at Apple Podcasts. They'll put that option under your nose. Don't worry about it. That's $5 a month. That's nothing. You can do that. Or buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. See you tomorrow.